00:12 a.m. Jankoy, Crimea. The night didn't end quietly. It detonated. A blinding flash tore through low cloud cover, followed by a rising column of fire that surged more than 180 to 220 metres into the sky. Within seconds, a pressure wave rolled outward, shaking buildings across a 3.5 to 4 kilometre radius. Windows rattled, car alarms cascaded through the town, and power monitors recorded a sudden surge before dropping offline. Thermal sensors spiked past 1,200 degrees Celsius, exceeding design limits by nearly 30%, then vanished from the network entirely. For civilians, there was no warning, no sirens, no alerts, just light, heat, and a shock that felt far larger than a single blast. Hours earlier, the atmosphere had been calm, almost procedural. 8:40 a.m. Geneva, the same day. Inside a sealed negotiation room, Western mediators presented a narrowly defined proposal, a 72-hour humanitarian ceasefire limited in scope, intended to stabilise evacuation routes supporting more than 400,000 civilians and to pause a looming cycle of long-range missile strikes. It was deliberately modest, temporary, built to reduce risk, not shift momentum. The Russian delegation dismissed it in under 2 minutes. No ceasefire, no pause, no reduction in operations. The meeting ended abruptly. Back in Crimea, emergency systems struggled to make sense of the data flooding in. Pressure sensors fluctuated beyond calibrated thresholds. Backup power nodes switched on, then failed. Multiple internal alarms inside a restricted military zone triggered simultaneously and then fell silent. Residents woke believing an earthquake had struck, while others watched an orange glow pulse against the horizon at intervals of 20 to 30 seconds. This was not an industrial accident, it was not equipment failure, and it was not random. Jankoy was no ordinary site. Analysts would later confirm it as one of Russia's most fortified missile storage complexes in Crimea, believed to house a concentrated reserve of Iskander ballistic and cruise missiles, protected by layered air defences and reinforced underground chambers, engineered to survive sustained attack. Yet something had reached it. The timing was not coincidence. It was cause and effect. Diplomacy failed in daylight. The consequences arrived after midnight. To understand how a facility designed to be untouchable was shaken awake in a single night, we have to rewind back through the final hours before midnight, when negotiations collapsed, calculations shifted, and the path to impact was already set. By early afternoon, the meaning of the explosion that would come later was already taking shape. 2:10 p.m. Kyiv time. Inside a secured operations room, Ukrainian intelligence officers reviewed a consolidated alert flagged at the highest priority. Data streams from multiple European partners converged into a single picture, and the pattern was unmistakable. Over the previous 6 to 8 days, Russian missile units in Crimea had shifted aggressively, abandoning dispersion in favour of concentration. Satellite imagery showed nearly 30 Iskander launchers repositioned toward the northern peninsula, accompanied by more than 50 support vehicles, fuel carriers, command trucks and climate-controlled transporters designed to preserve missile stability. One location dominated the analysis, the Jankoy complex. Thermal scans revealed activity levels running at 2.6 to 2.9 times above baseline, consistent with large-scale missile transfers rather than routine maintenance. By mid-afternoon, analysts estimated that 40 to 55 Iskander ballistic and cruise missiles had been moved into Jankoy's underground storage chambers. That quantity mattered. From that single site, Russia could reach every major Ukrainian city within minutes, saturating air defences before any diplomatic channel could reopen. The conclusion was blunt. This was not posturing, it was preparation. Inside Ukraine's command structure, the timeline narrowed rapidly. Waiting carried its own risk. Each additional hour increased the chance that the missiles would be dispersed, hardened, or launched first. Strike windows close quickly once a stockpile becomes mobile. By early evening, planning cells were activated under strict compartmentalization. The objective was defined with precision: disrupt the Jankoy stockpile before activation, without triggering uncontrolled escalation. Long-range aviation was ruled out. conventional missiles were reserved. The solution pointed in one direction: unmanned systems operating low, fast, and in coordinated numbers. As night approached, final checks were conducted. Weather over Crimea was degrading, with low cloud cover and scattered fog reducing visibility below 500 metres in several sectors. For air defences, it was an inconvenience. For drones, it was opportunity. By 11:30